Alright, my beloved, let's do a little video. We'll do Lucifero ain't done a dab it forever with y'all. And we recently picked up from the medical, so let's check it out. We've got, it's an indica. Maybe it'll show up. Flip it around. Indica, right? I think this one is blueberry muffin. And this shit came out like white. It's kind of weird looking. Here, I'll flip you again. Do. Oh, it actually focused on me. Wow. The gods are working. We can thank, I'll go ahead and thank Jupiter for that. And Venus, right? Here we go, flip it around. Do a little dab. Not a big deal. Stuff came out nice smelling, right? So it's blueberry muffin. It definitely has that blueberry smell. Real bright, real white looking. Obviously it's medical concentrates. It's kind of like a sugar wax. I think it's like 70 something percent. They're kind of lower. Real terpy, right? So we got the power, right? Got the power with us. The power of tarot, the power of sorcery, the power of all those things, right? The tetragrammaton, which we really believe the planets and everything kind of control everything. And that there's another way of intelligence, how it makes it to us, right? I even thought that it would be cool to kind of like do a... I know that they've done like a play before, or like skits before, where people are trying to conglomerate into a group to do something great together, and we're looking for all the other major players. So there's 7 planets, so there's going to be 7 personifications, both masculine and feminine, of each of those things, right? And they want to put something together, so they're looking for their counterparts, right? And they're an assemblage of friends that are looking for their counterparts, right? It'll be a mix of masculine and feminine who've realized who they are, encountering each other, and have gone about to assemble more people like themselves, to assemble the full personification of the system we have. And I believe that that's what's going on. These archetypes are getting repeated over and over with a certain mix. But there are chief of those, right, that get more of that intelligence than others. And that those people, I believe the music industry is predicated on a lot of that stuff, because you beautiful star worshippers are out there, got something going for yourselves. You're onto something, right? All that stuff, it has to play into the intelligence we have as individuals, right? Because we believe that that which is manifest is light, and all those things are light, and that from a dark place, our mind, we perceive light, right? From complete darkness. We don't really actually, I don't believe we specifically emanate light. We reflect light, right? Because that's why you get color. Some of it is absorbed. Whatever is not absorbed is reflected, or however that worked. However, I forget how the theory is, because it's a theory. Because you can't exactly prove that. Something to do with that. Moreover, we'll do a dab, right? So let's get it going. I really think there's something like that going on. A constant repetition of personifications that we think the intelligence that each individual has, their individuality is randomosity. It's actually choreographed by the planets, the major ones, right? Obviously, Jupiter, Saturn, the Sun, and Mercury. Moon and Venus, Mars, right? Strength and will come from the thumb. I believe that it's extended. If it's the mount of Venus, then clearly the thumb is Venus. But that's just my opinion. That's not widely accepted as chiromancy fact, if that's a thing, right? Because it's all conjecture at this point in time. Because that what we have is conjecture. The mind power to talk and formulate opinion or hypothesis based on an assemblage of whatever units or whatever we're looking at, right? That's what the honor of kings is to look into a matter. No, that was said somewhere once. Said the dad real quick. And we'll do like a 3-card pull on where I think the dollar's going, right? We'll talk a little bit about that. I think Russia is going to pick the dollar back up again, and that's what all these talks are for. We're going to dump the European objective, which has been endless war. If we're going to have endless war, we should be running home with something. Not giving everybody their country back and then footing the bill and then making our children foot the bill and our parents and our children and our people foot the blood and treasure that it takes to take things back that aren't there. Ours to begin with. Anyways, that shit needs to stop. It needs to stop. It's perpetuated, and it's perpetuated of a specific place. I've asked for the new Access Monday to be changed. No longer the Vatican. We need the Access Monday to be moved to the place that it functions most, America. We need a federation of North and South America to deject China and the European powers that want to eat our lunch. There's no reason the euro should be traded better against the dollar when we're the... Bottom line, we pay for all their fucking shit, and we need to stop. The defense, the Cold War, all that great stuff, we paid for it, right? All that kind of stuff needs to stop. Geopolitical authority and ideology needs to shift from the kleptocrat bankers that started the Industrial Revolution and initiated the wars so they could take all the things from the monarchy. We need to shift away from that. That doesn't benefit us at all. That benefits those idiot Europeans who came up with the fucky financing that no one wants to continue with, that we are in our current position because of following those gap principles they need to change, right? The digital ledger needs to be a thing. The funny SWIFT system needs to get kicked out. The Nazis in the SWIFT system can't run anything anymore. Brussels needs to not be the authoritative capital of the world anymore because they're not only out of touch with the world, but they have nothing but their own selves in mind. The ruling elite. Let's diverge from that. Let's have our own if we're going to have ruling elite, let's have our own ruling elite, right? A ruling elite that runs a new federation of America, where all these people get under the eagle's wing. We all have our own laws, but we all get the Constitution, and then we give carte blanche to the military-industrial complex to clean up the terrorism in this area so that we could have a prosperous thing. Because of terrorist outfits and all sorts of clandestine operations, we can't have a flourishing age of prosperity. All that stuff needs to go. Needs to go so we can rebuild, right? The time for that low vibration living has to be over. I do believe we're at the precipice of, or the bottom, not the precipice, the bottom, that would be the precipice, the bottom of something, right? Coming up, right? Low vibration mindsets are getting shed in exchange for new vibration mindsets, right? What do you want to call it, left or right? Doesn't matter. It's a polarity of mind that can't exist in authority with the other one, right? A polarity shift. Yeah, this is bad. Before we get way too long-winded, I'm gonna put some gas in this fucking torch. We're talking about these things because we believe, we Hebrews believe about abracadabra, which roughly means I create as I speak. Reality is flexible. We're pulling at it. It's like a fabric. We can look at it. We can take part in it. Or an individual thread. But we can articulate it, right? And our articulation can articulate something far, especially with the information technology we have concerning sharing and viewing videos, right? That right there has changed the minds of humanity at a level that we can't really capacitate, because before, communicative thought was coagulated around the institutions, the think tanks, and the scholarly types that actually make decisions. Because it's once more just to think something. But to speak it into existence is another thing. There is something to do with that. Now, obviously, certain things, there's parameters, right? Certain things that can happen, like the funny things in the scriptures. I don't believe there were men with the handkerchief or the fucking shadow being able to fix people, because that would have been something. No, what happened is it's a cover story from what really happened during the biblical times. The apostles got killed for fucking with everyone's minds, right? They got murdered, they got destroyed, they got separated because they fucked with everybody's mind and they got angry. The real story about Simon Magus is he turned over everybody's mind in the city and they cast those fuckers out. Because there wasn't a huge Christian revival that the world got waved over with. It was just Rome was already in an upheaval. They expanded too much and they couldn't keep the take, and there was way too many fingers in the pot. A dissolved authoritative system, right? Improperly placed laws and a societal upheaval. They couldn't control the narrative anymore. And we're getting close to that. Because the narrative is lies. Once they find out the narrative is lies, no matter what you tell them, they're not going to listen to the You being the source, which is what I'm hoping is happening. That's how that polarity shift happens. Once you realize that they're the source of the problem, not the source of the solution, we can deject it and move towards something else. But we're trying to solve the problem with the problem, right? With the people that create the problem, for the problem's sake, when they're the originator of it, right? You come away from that. The constant moving toward mass arms buildups and stuff. You can't build up forces on somebody's. This is what Ukraine did: built up a civil war and then built up forces along the border of a neighboring country that they didn't have any conflict with. And they're like, this isn't going to start a war. Every time that's ever happened, it started a war. That's what started the war. You want to know what happened? Ukraine creating a fucking border civil war and then lining up their equipment on the border of Russia and then yelling at Russia for lining their shit up as a response. Everyone who's ever done that in the history of the world has started a war. But Europe's not on the hook for chooching Ukraine, which didn't have the firepower, the things to do it themselves. They're not on the hook for chooching them up. You're on the hook for what you get people to do. That's why they flayed and got rid of people. Because they were fucking with everybody's minds, making people live out paradigms that weren't real, that they couldn't prove. Prove that God endowed you to do these things. These men didn't have those powers. Which is why they ended up getting their heads chopped off and thrown around. If the power was for them, he would have fought for them then. And the men that are doing this shit now, their ends are going to be not blessed. That's all I got to say. And it's going to be obvious that those weren't the men. Abba Bivens got his ass beat to death in the street by Muslims. That's not written in the book as an honorable death. What's going to happen to y'all? Masha didn't make it. That old Negro didn't make it to the kingdom. He didn't see it coming in. It wasn't Moses. Y'all lied and had an oath to keep that lie. An oath to keep a lie is a coven. We know you're warlocks. Just have to put that in there. I ain't off of that. I'm coming with something for you. It's just going to take a little time to bring it to you. And I'm going to get other people raised up into it. It's going to wave you. Because it's obvious what you're doing is wrong. Way back when, we were able to kick people out of the public forum that were causing uprisings. You guys are on the verge of causing a terrorist uprising. You need to get dejected. Just like Antifa. To this dad. I'm not coming off of that. That is a symptom that needs to get responded to. And I've got several points I'm getting to it. And if I had my way, I'm going to get the money yanked from the NGOs. I'm going to get that 501c3s yanked off the streets. That's my goal. Any ones that say anything against the Jews or against the state, or that don't follow the state narrative. That's the goal. I want you to go back to buildings. So if people want to get deceived, they have to come and find you to get deceived. That's my point. That's all I want. And I did pray baldness on you. So if you go bald, I didn't ask for any more baldness than I got. But if you old fuckers go bald, you know where it came from. Here we go. I'm talking about you old angry Bible fuckers who think you need to tell everybody what to do. You guys are wrong. You guys are absolutely wrong. You defend the gospel, but ignore the fact that you have no right to teach any more than Acts 15 and Matthew 22, the first two great commandments, and adjust it for idolatry, because you can't prove those are the names. All right. Got the dab in. That blueberry muffin, guys. It was so terpy. I'm almost suspicious that it's flavored. I also told them about lemon PSTR was like that. It tasted like cherry. Suspiciously almost flavored, right? The terps are really good. I reckon the medical stuff is so good that we're actually getting the genuine terps for it to taste like that. Plus the product was damn near white, which means very clean. Very good. Very good. I'm a fan of Florida's medical products. I just wish they were more affordable, that the limits weren't so weird on them, and that it was more accessible, right? Obviously, the dosages out here are weird. For edibles, you need a higher dosage to get medicinal value out of it, right? It doesn't work the same way as getting 20 milligrams inhaled or whatever, however however you want to look at it. Anyways, I know it'll change because it's all been rescheduled. A lot of stuff on this. We'll want to do. I got some tea ready. I think the tea leaves I have are a little bit too big for the tea leaf read on the Cup of Destiny. We'll give it another whip, right? So yeah, if I get my way, I'm going to lobby for, obviously removing hateful fake religion off the street that gets people to do unrighteous stuff. When I say unrighteous, I mean stuff against the American laws. I don't want you doing stuff against the laws. I don't want you hating on people. It's legal for people to have same-sex marriages. It's legal for them to have same-sex stuff. It's illegal to teach against it because it's illegal for you to do it, right? We got to teach stuff that the laws allow for you to teach. And even in that, they've backed off of it, but they won't openly tell their people that that's what they ought to be doing. They have no right to be teaching anything more than Romans 13, Acts 15, the no strangling, the no murdering, the blood. But they want to go on and on about these other things. Bottom line, even at that, they're not sippers of their own sauce. I want to pull 3 cards. I know we were talking about silver in the economy. I really think a 3 card on silver in the economy might be a good thing, because I really think we're not going to see the BRICS. We're going to see Russia go back with America. Shake these cards down, kids. I want to get a good read. So, no, we're not letting that pull up. I'm going to shake it down more. I want a good read. So, we want to talk the normalization of finance tactics between America and Russia. What is the likelihood? We got the Wheel of Fortune. That's good luck, improvement, opportunity, development. That's that thing. And it's got Jupiter on it. So I'm telling you, you really want to be with prosperity, you really want Jupiter. That's what made Rome so successful, they believe. Because Jupiter exists. It's a planet. You can see it. Jesus? Don't know. They make carvings of him. Never saw the guy. The world. Completion. Attainment. Extreme harmony. And it's got Saturn, the limit. So it looks like the cards are saying America and Russia will link financially. Ooh. But it's going to cause some problems. Ooh, check that out. It's the 8 of Swords. Restrained. So it's going to cause problems. It's not going to be as fluid as we all hope. But it's, of course, because they're an enemy. We're juxtaposed. Right? So some thoughts on that. My opinion is that means it's going to cause a shitload of stuff in the economy. Those people who thought they made money on metals, I really think they're going to lose money on metals if they bought the metals above like 4,000. I really think there's going to trim below 4,000. I really think it's going to trim back to silver around whatever silver and gold were doing when silver was around $20. Like gold was around 3,000, I think. But that's just when I saw the charts running away. That's just my thought. All right. Let's do the Cup of Destiny one more time. So, it's like you guys here. Got a little tea to sip on. Sipping the Cup of Destiny. So it's a black tea I got locally here in Florida. At a tea place with like a compass on the name, kind of cool. So I'll sip this tea down. We'll give it a spin and see if we get something to land and see something. Ugh, I'm not going in the read. Let's give it a couple of spins, kids. No, I think these are too thick. The tea leaves are too thick, y'all. They ain't moving. Yeah, I'm gonna switch a T. Not a big deal. Give it a spin. And let's see what we got. Do-do-do-do-do. Got something landed in Gemini and in Pisces. So Gemini, Cancer, Pisces, Aquarius. We know what we're going toward right here. You know that's Aries. Right now we're going toward a microcycle of 2 years of Saturn in Aries. Just a thought about that. So what do we got here? Something in Mars. Definitely something in Mercury. Something at the top of Jupiter. I think these are the transits. These things. I gotta figure that out. Because there's a way to plan what that next thing happens. If there's a transit, you can plan the next thing you're doing. We got something in Saturn. Someday I'll figure out how to read this, right? And we're supposed to look at the tea leaves to see if they say anything to us. If we see anything. I mean, that's actually what pareidolia is. If we see like shapes are supposed to be faces and stuff, and no, we don't really see that. Sorry, guys. My intuition's not quite there yet, I guess. Someday when I'm intuitive, I'll share it with you. Other than that, I'm just sharing thoughts. You'll have a great rest of your day, beloved. But I think if something cool to do more card pulls on, I will. Start scrubbing the news for hot topics. See if I can come with something interesting to talk shit about. You'll have a great rest of your day.